we're going to be making a few easy small pieces of ephemera today using some of your smaller leftover scraps. Welcome, this is Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So I'm going to be making some small ephemera for this little 8-pocket folder, which I created in one of my previous videos, which I will link below in case you missed it and you want to watch it. However, you can use these for any project or journal you're currently working on. So just to recap, we have one here, then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And since I used some beautiful digitals from the Digital Collage Club for my 8-pocket folder and this envelope junk journal, which I will be adding this folder to, I will also use some of my leftover prints for some of these. So I have some scraps here. Well, they're not scraps. I have some prints left over that I used for both of these projects, and I will see if I can use some of the smaller bits here for our embellishments. And I will list the downloads that I used below for you, and I have some discount codes for you below as well in case you're interested in joining the Digital Collage Club, which has thousands of royalty-free downloads for your projects as well as tutorials on how to use them. So since the pieces of ephemera will be small, I'm not going to worry about any journaling space on the back side. They will be more just for decoration purposes. And since we have 8 pockets in our little folder, we're going to need at least 8 pieces. And my first thought is, what can I use as my base? A good base would be some cardstock, like the paper pads most of us have and have too much of. And you can of course also use some plain cardstock if you prefer. Now it's good to use some of the paper pads that are a little thicker because we do want our tags to have a little bit of a body. And if you have small tag punches or tag dies, then this would be a great option for you, or you can just cut rectangles and optionally round the corners or cut tag shapes by hand. So I'm thinking of using some of these paper pads. So I have this one sheet here which I got at a craft fair. It is from Bow Bunny and it's called Soiree. And yeah, so this is information. It's a 12 by 12. There's the item number if you're interested. And I think some of these elements might make very nice back sides. I also have this that I can use as a back side. And then of course I'll be embellishing the front side. I also probably will use some of this Tim Holtz Ideology paper stash. It's probably the most famous one, called Wallflower. I think many of us have it. And I think there's some pretty images, pinks, and a few florals that might work really well for this little project. But of course you use whatever fits to your project that you're currently doing this for. I'm going to start off with the biggest tags, which are the ones that go in here and in here. So they're going to have to be pretty much square. They don't have to be, but I want them to be square and fill up most of the pocket. So I'm going to take my paper pad sheet here and I'm going to see what might work as a base, and thinking of that this is going to be the back side that I'm going to be using. See what design might work best for me with what I have, and I really like this one here. So I'm just going to try to measure how big it can be. making it a little smaller than the pocket because I want it to be easy to take out. Okay, so that's one here, and I need another one for the other side. This one is too small. Would chairs be weird? I don't know. These are all too small, but they might work for the smaller pockets. I could use this one here, which is nice as well. Yep, and it has a good size. So since I want the two to be the same, I'm going to cut out this one first and then use that as a guide to cut out this one here. So right before I started cutting, I changed my mind about which section of that one image I was going to use. So this is what the cutout looks like, and then this is the one, this was the second one. So these now, just actually upside down, it goes like this. So these now fit in here very nicely, and they are the same size. Now, since I want to cover these back sides, even though they're cute as well, I do plan on rounding the corners, but I'm not going to do that until I have the back side cover. And since I want the tags to work really well with the folder, I'm going to be using some of my scraps of my avocado dyed paper. So these are some leftovers from the booklet and from the journal that I made. Obviously, you don't have to use avocado dyed paper. You can use coffee dyed paper. You don't have to use any kind of dyed paper. You can just work with your cardstock. You don't need to cover it, but I really want to make everything match well. So the next thing I will do is I will cover the back sides with some of this avocado dyed paper. I have my avocado dyed pieces cut out, same size as these. And I wanted to show you, I also finally got one of these art glitter glue bottles, and I actually didn't get it because of the glue itself. I got it because I wanted the bottle, and I ordered this metal tip. You can order that separately. It comes with this pin to keep the nozzle free. And the reason why I got this is because you might have seen in my previous videos, I use this little bottle which I got locally from an art store, and it works, but this tip here is so fine that I have to press so hard to get my glue out that it was becoming a pain. So the opening of this is just a tiny bit bigger and enough to work better. So I'm hoping that once this is empty, that I can refill it with regular tacky glue or white glue, and it will work just as well. So fingers crossed. I will let you know if that works, but for now we'll use the original art glitter glue to glue these pieces down. And as I'm saying this, I've just changed my mind. I'm actually going to use some glue stick. Then I don't have to worry about anything squishing out on the sides, and it won't be as messy. So once we have the paper adhered, we can now, if you want to, now would be a good time to round your corners, which I'm going to do. I'm going to use a large corner rounder for this. And something else that I got recently are these two mini distress inks. One is the Victorian Velvet and one is Tattered Rose. Now they look quite similar. So let's see if we can see what the colors actually look like before we use them. So this is the Victorian Velvet. Oh, I should be using two different sponges, right? Well, I don't have another one right now, so I'm just gonna try to get rid of this, and then we'll try this one. You're not supposed to do that, I know. You're supposed to have one for each color, but I think it's gonna be enough for you to see the difference. So this is the Tattered Rose, it's a lot more peachy, and then this is the Victorian Velvet. So both beautiful colors. And what am I gonna use? I think I'm gonna use the Victorian Velvet on these. So let's see what that looks like if we use that instead of Vintage Photo for a change. And of course I might also add some copper gilding wax just because it has to match this where I use the gilding wax on the edges. So it has to match, right? So I might be using that as well. And I'll do this on both sides. So that's what that looks like. I just wanted to try something different. So these are ready to go now. These are our bases. This is what we're going to embellish. These are going to be our back sides. So I guess these two are actually big enough to even journal on. So that's that. And now we need 6 more. And I think I'll prepare all the bases first so that we can then just have the fun of embellishing after that and not have to worry about the bases. So I'm just going to continue with the same method and see what size they need to be depending on which pocket they need to go, choosing some paper and then putting the avocado dyed paper on the back side. Okay, so I have all my shapes cut out and I'm just going to glue them onto my avocado dyed paper. Now, by the way, if you are interested in seeing how I have avocado dyed this paper and you haven't seen it yet, that is a part of the video with where I construct the enveloped journal. So this one. So I will note that down below as well so you know where you can find that in case you want to see that. And now I'm simply going to cut out my papers. And then I'm also going to be rounding the corners, and for these bigger ones I will again use the large corner rounder, and for the small ones I'm going to use my small corner rounder. I will link both of these in the description box. And lastly, we're going to be using the Victorian Velvet again to ink around all of them to make them all look like they belong together. So since we're dealing with fairly small sizes here, except for these are definitely not small, but these here are all pretty small. We of course have to work with smaller ephemera. So I've gathered some scraps here and some other embellishments that would work with the size that I'm working with. Most of these are really kind of like small pieces, but this is the perfect place to use these, even though they don't look like you can do much with them, but this is perfect for what we're going to be doing. So I've gathered what I had in this little box, and one thing that I also would like to use is, so I have these, and what these are cutouts of some of my old bank statements. So I was about to shred all of mine when I realized that these numbers are actually great. Like, why would I throw them away? Why? And I coffee dyed them, and then I also stained them with my distress stains with the wild honey and the espresso, ground espresso it's called, the Tim Holtz ones, and they turned out great. I mean, they're really fun pieces to use in collaging or whatever. So I'll definitely be using some of these because I think they're fun. So don't throw away your old bank statements. And I'm going to start off by deciding, of course, which focal point I want for which card. So I'm going to go through my leftover printouts from the Digital Collage Club, since that is what I used in the projects that I'm going to be adding these to. And one thing I know I'm definitely going to be using are these butterflies, which are on this one. So again, these will be linked below. So these are great to cut out to use on these small tags because look, the size is just perfect. Of course, you could print them bigger and then you'd have bigger butterflies, but these are actually perfect. So I'll be definitely cutting out a few of those. And I mean, I could either make them all butterfly tags, but I think that might be a bit boring. So I'm going to go through this. I'm definitely going to be using as some background scrap. And I just need to go through and see what other motifs would work. I mean, for the two big ones, I can really use some big illustrations here. Like I could even use this whole thing, although I'm not sure the pinks don't really match, so I'll think about that. I could definitely use something from here, but I probably wouldn't use the whole square. I would probably cut out something, so maybe I'll do that. And here, ooh, like this would be really pretty here, wouldn't it? If I could cut that out. So I maybe will do that. So here's some other floral images I could still use. And on this one, well, I could definitely cut this out and use that as a background. And I could cut these out and use them as focal points. So I've chosen a focal point for each of my tags. So I've cut out some images. I really like this one. Then we have these two. And then for the small ones, for the 4 small ones, I decided to just go with small butterflies. There. But I wanted to show you that you also actually don't even need a focal point when you come down to sizes like this. I want to show you some examples of what I have done. This is a while ago that I've created these. Look how tiny. This is tiny and it doesn't have a focal point except for that just create, and that is a stamp. So, and I've backed these with some washi tape. And there's this breathe. I love these. I think these small ones, they're just so cute. Then here's one with a stamped butterfly. This is my bank statement pieces. Some cheesecloth in the back, some splatters. That's the back side. These are so fun. You can use whole reinforcements, some washi behind there, there's sewing, there's thread. And there's this one. And we have this one. They all have, oops, sorry. They all have the same back. Then there's this one. And this is a little bit bigger as this one. So you can see there's so much you can do with your tiny, tiny scraps. So that's a great way to use up some of those scraps that we all have too much of. So, but here we're going to work with these focal points. And to start off with, of course, I don't like the white edging. and this one is too white in total. So I of course need to ink all the edges up, and I'm going to again do that with my new Victorian Velvet. And I'll probably also put it in the middle here. I will see. I've inked up all the edges, and with this one I actually went over the white part in the middle with my tea dye. I thought that would be better than making it all pink. I would say let's start off with the two bigger ones and then work our way down to the smallest ones at the end, because I think those are the most fun actually. I want to start with this one, and I do want to include some of these cute polka dots. So I'm going to tear a strip off of this. I also want to add some of my bank statement numbers. Oh, I have some avocado dyed cheesecloth, so yes, I want to use some of that, but just a very small piece of it. So maybe I'll use a piece of this just to add some yellow to it. Oh, now this is a scrap of obviously of a book page with some tiny splatters on it, and it says here, wait, let me see. Yeah, it says flower. So that would be cool if we could add that. Okay, I think that's pretty much all this one needs. And before I start gluing down, I want to decide, do I want some splattering with this? It would be nice to balance this out, maybe with a splatter here that would kind of go underneath the flower. So this is the wild honey, my beloved, beloved wild honey. And then I'm gonna bang this so it really splatters nicely. There. Beautiful. So let's see if it needs another one somewhere else. And I love that it really dries instantly. I think that's enough. So I will glue things down now, and I'm going to use, first time to use my art glitter glue, yay! And let me try the top down method for this. Oh, this is so much better than my small bottle. Oh my goodness, it comes out so much better. This is great. I can really recommend this if you're struggling with a small glue bottle where the glue doesn't want to come out. This is heaven. Okay, just to warn you, I will be adding some gilding wax around this at the end. When I have all of them done, so I don't need to clean my finger 8 times. So, but that's the first one. And since it says flower here, I don't think it needs another word or phrase or anything there, because that wouldn't take away from this. So I think this one is good to go. So that's number 1. Moving on to the next one. So we have this one. I also want to add some numbers to this. Add a tiny little label. Something is bugging me here and I'm not sure what it is. I think maybe it's because I have these 2 labels on one side. So let's see if I change this. That is definitely more balanced. It still needs something here, but that could be a splatter. I could put one here and here. Maybe on the corner here. I will first glue these down, make my life easier. Okay, now we can splatter. So one needs to go here. One needs to go here. And then we said one here, but I just want a partial one here. There. So now that's what it will look like. Yep, I like that. Okay, so this one's done as well. So we have these 2. Moving on to the next smaller size, we will work with this little kitten here. I don't usually like having the focal point smack in the center. That just kind of seems boring and predictable. It's, you know, there's this magic rule of thirds to basically if you divide your background into thirds, so you make 2 lines and 2 lines, and then where those cross would be the perfect point for a focal point. So that means in this case it would have to be either, so if you imagine the lines like 1, 2, and then 1, 2. I don't know, can you see it? Yeah, it's very light, but you can see it. So in either of these 4 points would be perfect to have your focal point. I think this came from photography, this theory, and it really works. Okay, so I'm gonna go for bottom right. It doesn't have to be right there, but if it's in that area, that will work well. You can always count on that. And if you use similar elements in all of your cards within one project, of course your project is going to look very put together and cohesive. I have these little paper flowers. They were, I think this one was white, and again I went over it with this, so now it became yellow, so that works well with our theme. So maybe we could add a little flower to give a little more pop of color. I like this little piece here as well. Looks like from a dictionary. Okay, I think that's all we need for this one. So again, I will start gluing. Okay, now I have this one spot of yellow here, so I again want to balance that. And so I'll put one on the opposite corner here. And I also want a third one. Or I need some other kind of yellow element. It doesn't have to be the splatter, but it should be a third yellow element. I like threes. I have this part of the envelope here, and I have this punch, so maybe that would work. Let's give that a try. So that's the piece. What do you think? That's what that would look like. Is that too much? Could hide it a bit more. Just have that peeking out. Okay, now I can glue down the whole thing. So there's our number 3. As a final touch, I'd like to add a word to that. So I have this cut out from an old vintage children's book, which says Home Alone. And although I could use Home Alone here, I think I just want to cut out the home. And that would be cute here. I can keep the alone for something else. There, so that's our number 3. Number 4 is this guy here, this butterfly. Maybe we'll try another one of these flowers. Again, it's nice to work with similar elements. And then of course these would be fun to use as well. You don't have to throw these away either. Yep, I think that's all this one needs. So again, I will just glue everything together first. In this case, I'm not even gonna add any splatters. I think this is good as it is. And the whole point of this is to work with what you have. I know I create enough needs in a lot of my videos, and I'm sorry for that. I do enjoy using new stuff as well, so I want to share that when I find something nice. But in this particular video, I'm trying to show you that you should just use what you have and you can have amazing results. So this is our number 4. And now we're getting down to the really small ones. Oh, I do love these numbers a lot, so I want to try to use these. And with these little ones, of course, you don't need a lot to make it look cute. I do love some sewing on my tags, like you've seen here, for example, but for the sake of this video, I'm not gonna do that. And I know not everybody has a sewing machine, so I'm trying to come up with things where you won't need any sewing. Do want to add a bit more of this cheesecloth. I just really like adding different textures because it looks different, and also it's nice when you can go over something with your fingers and then you can feel all the different textures. I really like that. See, I mean, this one here could be done just like that. It's adorable, right? It doesn't really need anything else. Maybe I will leave that. Let's see. Of course, it doesn't have any yellow in it, which kind of bothers me. So maybe what I will do is underneath, so I'll maybe glue these two down and underneath that put one splatter of yellow. We'll see. And for the other one, let's use some, this is a used tea bag. Tea bags make lovely, lovely background pieces. This is just coffee dyed paper. I just had an idea. What if I use some of this, but I don't leave it white? I could try to put some of my Victorian velvet distress stain over it. Do you see that? That is nice. Maybe even a little more. Yes. Gonna use some more of my numbers here. So for this one, I want to try making the splatter, maybe, I think I'll glue this one here and then make the splatter. I'll add another partial one here. So for these last two tiny ones, there's really not much you have to do because you don't have a lot of space. And so even just putting one piece like this is stenciling with my beloved copper gilding wax. So even with this, let's just get rid of the white. For example, if we would put this here, that could be done just like that. That's all you need. For this one, I'm gonna add some more of my tiny numbers. And even just a tiny page number of a book like this will make a big impact on a small tag like this because it will stick out. For this little one, I am going to add a little sentiment down here as well that I just found, which is the Just Create. So that one's done. And this one, I do also have a Breathe and a Soulful. Let's see if the Breathe might work. Yeah, why not? Let's just add that there. And maybe we can add the Soulful to one of these two. Let's see how that would work. No, I actually don't like it. What about this one? Yeah, I'll put it on this one. They don't need to have sentiments, but sometimes it's really nice to add some. So we're done with our 8, and as I warned you before, I'm going to now add my beloved copper gilding wax to the edges of the cards. Yeah, I've linked a similar one below for you because this one I got locally. So it looks like this if you haven't seen it yet, and with it's quite hard, but with the warmth of your finger then it gets soft, and then you can apply it just with your finger, just like that, and it's really pretty and it will match our little booklet. So I will go ahead and do that on all of the cards, front and back side, and then we'll put them into the little booklet and see what that looks like. So this is what everything looks like once it's done. Let's look at these. So now you see the nice gilding on the gilding wax on both sides. So this is the first big one. This is our second big one. Then we have the next largest ones. And then the smaller ones. And finally the tiny ones. All right, so now let's add everything to our little booklet. So the small ones are for the front and the back. We just need to decide which one goes where, and I think this one needs the green one. So that will be like this. Then in the back we'll put this yellow little guy. Peek out like that. Then inside we have our square ones, which can go in here. Oh, I like this. This works really well together actually. And here we'll put this one. Then we'll put the blue one up here. And the yellow one here. And then we have this one. Nope, that's not good. We have two, they're too similar, I think. So this one needs to go here. And then the kitty cat can go here. Yes, much better. So that is our folder. I really like how this turned out. And you can stick this in any journal. Mine I've made to go in here. I haven't decided yet how. I could put it in just like this and have it as another booklet on the front. I can of course do the same thing on the back side. Actually, I have nothing on the back, so I could totally do that. That's an option. Another option would be to put it in one of these pockets, just like that. Or if you have one of these and you haven't sewn it together, of course, really cute would be, as I've mentioned, to put it in the middle like this. That would be really, really nice, I think. A surprise. Could it go anywhere else? Of course, it could also go in this pocket or in this pocket. So there's so many options. I don't know yet, I think. Of course, we have this pocket too, but well, obviously it's not going to fit in here. So if you're wondering how I constructed this, I will link the videos for this below as well. So maybe I'll just put it like this, because actually it works really well with the green here. We have the green here, the green here. I like that, so I'm just gonna do that. And then tie it up again. So that's it. I hope you found some inspiration here. please subscribe if you want to see more, if you haven't yet, and give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye!